Why is it an SUV? Where are you going to charge it? When is it coming? Those are just some of the questions that I got bombarded with when I told everybody I was ordering a Mustang Mach-E. I'll give you answers to those and more coming right up. Hi, I'm Patrick Anderson with Mach-E Vlog, and today I'm just going to answer some of the questions that people threw at me when I announced that I was buying a Mustang Mach-E. Probably the most common question I got was, why do they call it a Mustang? It has 4 doors. If you look online, you can see there's a lot of Mustang executives and Ford marketing people, and they talk about this. Their reasoning is they want to show, number one, they are very serious about producing electric vehicles, and by using their most famous brand, the Mustang, they are trying to give an indication that they are very serious. They're going to put everything they have behind electric vehicles. And I believe them. By using the Mustang brand, I think it puts a lot of pressure on them to produce something that is successful and lives up to the brand that's behind the Mustang. And the performance is key. I think by using the word Mustang on the vehicle, that sort of sets a expectation already. When you get into something that has the Mustang label on it, you sort of expect to get into something that performs well, handles well, is fast, looks great. So I think it sets a high bar for the vehicle right off the bat. But why is it an SUV? That's the second most common question I get. And I think I'm a perfect example of why it's an SUV and not a 2-door coupe. When I bought my Subaru WRX, I actually test drove a Mustang, but I just realized it didn't suit my new lifestyle. And now that my car is getting older and I'm looking to replace it, I was 100% set on getting an SUV. So when they announced that the Mustang Mach-E was going to be an SUV, I was excited and knew that was probably the thing for me. But why not Tesla? That was one of the first questions that my brother asked me, and I actually made a whole video dedicated to that. So I'll put a link above to answer that question. A few people have also asked me about the charging network. Everybody knows Tesla has a great supercharger network and it's talked about all the time. But what about other electric vehicles? Where do you charge these at? The great news is Ford is working to use the current charging network that's out there. If you look at the map here, you can see they're scattered all throughout the US. Before I confirmed my order on the Mach-E, I actually went to a couple of websites where you can plan out a trip and see where the electric charging stations are along the way, and was pleasantly surprised to learn that pretty much any trip that I laid out, there was charging stations along the way, easy to get to. And one of the things that Ford is working on is called Ford Pass. Basically what it's doing is there's multiple charging networks out there, and normally you have to have accounts on each one when you go up to plug in and charge for the billing. So Ford Pass, the idea is like you'll have one interface and you can search where the charging stations are at, go in, find the ones that are in the Ford Pass network, which is actually several of the consolidated charging networks, and just go in, plug in, and it would recognize that you have a Ford Pass account and you would have consolidated billing for it. The other thing about Ford Pass that's really cool is that they are going to set it up so like if you want to stop at a hotel and charge at the same time, you can find charging stations that are near hotels. If you want to stop and eat dinner while you're charging, you can find ones that are near restaurants. So in the end, it doesn't look like charging is going to be an issue for me at all when I'm away from home. And when you're talking about charging the vehicle, one of the important factors is the range. A lot of people have asked me about that. The version of the Mach-E that I chose gets about 270 miles in range. For a rear-wheel drive extended version of the Mach-E, that goes all the way up to about 300 miles of range. Now these numbers are targets, they're not set in stone, so I haven't focused on those too much. Everyone also wants to know, when is my Mach-E coming and when are they coming in general? It's been announced that full production of the Mach-E will start on October 26th, which means that the first production Mach-E should be to customers before the end of the year. I don't know exactly where I'm at in line to get a Mach-E, but I was one of the first ones to sign up. I signed up the first week that they were announced. So I'm hoping that early 2021 is when I will get my Mach-E. One of my coworkers asked, do I get a huge tax credit? And the answer is absolutely yes. But depending on where you are and when you buy the Mach-E, that tax credit can change. So if I get mine before the end of 2020, if I'm lucky, I would get the $7,500 federal tax credit as well as a $4,000 tax credit in the state of Colorado. If I get my Mach-E next year, the federal tax credit would still be $7,500, but the Colorado credit actually goes down. The federal tax credit will decrease at some point, but we don't know what date. The reason for that is that the federal tax credit starts off at $7,500 for each manufacturer for their first 200,000 vehicles. After that, it is slowly phased out. From what I understand, I think they have about 80,000 tax credits left at the $7,500 level, which should definitely cover the first year of vehicle production for the Mach-E. As you can see, the tax credit situation can be a bit confusing. So if you subscribe, stay tuned, and I will make a video on all of the ins and outs of how the tax credit works and what it means for you as a consumer. Speaking of dollars, I'm also asked, how much is the Mach-E? The base Mach-E starts at about $44,000. I've decided to upgrade to a premium model that gives me some added features, including a glass roof and the hardware necessary for full hands-free driving mode at some point. I've also upgraded the powertrain so that it has extended range as well as all-wheel drive. So that actually bumps the price all the way up to about $59,000. Hopefully with the tax credits, that'll get it under $50,000. The GT starts at about $60,000, and that's not coming out till mid next year. So those are the main questions that I've been asked about my Mach-E purchase. So do you have any questions for me? If so, just pop them in the comments below and hit subscribe. I'll make a video just featuring questions that I get in the comments. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I look forward to reading your comments.